Here we go.
Jay, this is Matt, my ex. Still have cable internet.
Yeah.
Jay has Frontier Fiber. Why?
Welcome, everyone. Here we go. There we go. Good to have you back on. I've got another good one in store today. It's called Our Soul's Discovery, Glimpses of the New World. And this is, again, a powerful one because the world that we're heading into, changes have already taken place right now. And when people can start imagining like what the world truly is going to be, that world comes to us even quicker. And there's been so much happening recently for me with awareness to all things. And one of them is being animals. And there's so much magic when you start paying attention to everything around us. I keep talking about God at the moment, God's creation. You can call it anything. For animal lovers, for pet lovers, they're all God's creation too. And you'll start seeing the more we're aware of how things operate and how they are optimal when the environment's right, then you start seeing that there's a lot more excitement for us of what we can start expecting in this new world. So if you're on the chat tonight, please do leave a few comments. Got an interesting one for you. Hi, Cherry. Good to have you on. How are you doing? Just see if anyone else jumps on. So again, today, bring awareness to the ego, pay attention to the thoughts, see if there is any triggers that go off. Hi, Nikki, good to have you on. And just pay attention to like, how does this sit with you? Ooh, let me put my microphone on as well. Because the world that we're heading into, which I keep talking about, we have to really start seeing that there's solutions for things that right now we don't feel is possible. And even if you suggested certain ideas, you're like, no, it can't be. We put a barrier up because we don't know. When you start looking deeper into these things, you're going to start seeing, well, there's going to be loads of possibilities for us. And with that, there's a lot of things that have taken place within our lifetime and previous generations that when we look back at the grand scheme of things, we're going to say, how did we let it get like this? Hi, Jen. Good to have you on. Welcome, people. So I'm going to start with just showing where my mind goes at times, especially when we start looking at animals. And if you start, hi Amanda, if you start paying attention to the internet now, it's been amazing because it shows us what is a reality, what actually things are happening in the world. And it's the first time in every generation that we're told about where we're all connected and we're getting information literally like that. And it's not just information, it's stuff that takes place within our world that we, to start with, were never made aware of. And the way that we've been conditioned, the way that we've been shown the experiences that have taken place in this world, we already get kind of a built-in narrative. But things change. And this is all going to tie back into that one universal truth is change. Everything that we're experiencing is still a new experience. Feeling wise, we can capture old moments, we can have deja vu, but these ways that we're moving forward, it's the new experience. And I feel that that's the hardest thing for people to grasp, is that we're always searching for something that matches up with something we've experienced before, because we know what that feels like. Oh, that's that moment. And we have elements to that. And at the same time, if we really take out every other attachment, everything that we're heading into is the unknown. And it's almost like we're already trying to like stop things from happening. So coming back to the simplifying life down to a choice, fear or love. If you stay in that love space, then only those things can take place for you, which means everything attached to love, from every thing that you can even think about, all of a sudden there's a root path there as well. Hi, Duppy Drup. Good to have you on. Thank you for being here. So we're in a world at the moment, and I want you to go as high up as your viewer's perspective, and you're going to treat humans, animals, birds, plants, all life on this plane as one organism. And a great way to look at that is this whole world that we live on, just call that God. Every part of this world is God. And if you look at us, the souls, the sons of God, we're God's cells. And we're just part of the whole organism. And within that, then we have all the different types of cells and bone structure and muscles and tissues. They're all expressions of God. And you can see that when we eat food, inside the food, a lot of the time it matches with certain parts to our body. The vibration of the earth, the Schumann resonance, is exactly the same vibration as us when we're in harmony. So there's a lot of things that you can start looking at now and mirroring. So if we go bird's eye view, look at animals and become the observer. So really try to just bring awareness to what they do rather than what we think we know they do. And then to look at it like that, and then we can give it meaning after. So I'm going to just start straight away and to take you on to this presentation. And we keep saying the soul is the truth. When you go straight to the truth, first of all, that's the soul. And I like using the example of when you go to a new place, everyone is new. It's a community, it's a new country, it's a new sports club. Everything is new. And when you go in there, it's just an experience. And then you go again, then you go again, then you find people that you resonate more with. You then have people that you spend more time with. Then you have elements to it where you found your place within that. And then you start finding what doesn't resonate with you, where certain things don't feel in balance. But that takes time. So it's the experience first, and then the mind is you giving it meaning. And then from that, you start making decisions going forward. But just go straight to the truth, first of all, with none of those other attachments, no preconceived ideas. And all I'm going to do to start with, and we work in images, yet most of our experience, we try to explain life through words. And a lot of the time, words don't communicate exactly how we're feeling or what we're trying to express for the other person to understand it exactly the same we can. So we have to try to find ways that they really get it. And images is a great way, and that's how we work. That is our right brain, and it's the creative brain. And even within the meditations now, it's almost trying to let go of what the meaning of the words are and just have one word per image. So for me, soul is the sun. So when I talk about the soul, I'm imagining the sun all the time. Soul, mind, body. I just have a picture of a body, a mind, and a soul. And when it's mind out the way, I just imagine the mind going over here, and then it's my soul and my body connection. So little things like that. So if I just show the images, the first thing that pops to your head, don't be clever about it, because being clever is the mind. So let's say that we're even talking from an inner child. If I showed you that, how would you describe them? One word. See if I can get, so I can see you too. And I would say, have a look at that, but the screen wasn't being shared. Right, let me see if I can do this so I can still see. I can still see. No, it's not going to work. I wanted to see the chat as well. So we'll just go straight into it. And please do write your answers. What are they? Next slide. How would you describe these? Remember, from the highest perspective, you're an alien coming down. Who are they? What are they? What's the names that we give them? What about that? Okay, so we get, I'm going to give my one, I'd say animals, human beings, food. So all of a sudden, that's the experience. We get told that that's like the foundation. Let me just see if people are sharing. Hi, Susan. Good to have you on. Please do get involved, guys. So we go straight to the next bit then. So now we have to be a bit more living beings alive. Love it. But be more specific now. So how will you then describe? Actually, continue on this. You can see that oceans, trees, I'd say a beach. Now be more specific. Next one. Be more specific. Next one. Trees and flowers. Animals. How do you be more specific from this image that we're being shown here? So pets and wild animals. So let me just see. Back on here again. Smiles, color, light, diverse. Animals, people, food. There we go. Fruits, veg. Colourful. But can you see how you say colourful, Amanda? And let's just say that you've got a kid looking at what's in front of you and they described it as colourful first. Is that what they're looking at? Holographic dream, world projections, nothing appearing as everything. You guys are too far in advance. We're simplifying life down to one-word answers. But can you see where I'm going with it? The soul will just go, that's what I know, that's what I know. Animals, humans, food, oceans, beach. Then when we go back and start paying more attention, then I'd say, how would you describe that image? So if we go back again, let's go to here. So we've got your animals. At what point did the word food come into your conscious mind when you saw those? And when you looked at these, at what time did the word food come into there? So pay attention to this, because I'm going to show you, because what do we call the food from animals? We give them different names. Sausage, hamburger, bacon. We give different names. So what I'm trying to show is if we then bring it back to simplify life down to a choice, and we got love or fear. If we now just look at the world, and let's say that the world has been in a dark place, there has to be fear around because we see evil. But now let's look at wildlife, and you see there's animals hunting each other. I didn't think animals equals food. Not at all, right? But we've been conditioned to say that's food without being told that's there. Not once do you look at animals and go food. It has to go into the image of a food first. You go, oh, that's food. Because there'd be no point in time where that would happen. So if we learn from animals, and again, we're all learning about life the entire time. This is our experience, is God's creation, and God is there to remember thyself, to know thyself. So from God's creation. So then when the humans come on and we're watching how animals are in the wildlife, and we see that there's lions that then hunt other animals, and then you've got the pecking orders, and then you've got the alpha male. You see all this, and then each animal and each groups, you've got predators and you've got prey, and you've got their different characteristics. So we're learning from all of them. It's like, whoa, they hunt, they kill, they eat food and stuff as well. I've been watching quite a lot of these animal programs recently, and it says like sometimes they will go about a week without having any food. So they have to catch this animal now. They have to catch this prey to feed the whole family. This will feed the family for a week. And after that, they have to then go and find again. So from an animal perspective, yes, they kill each other. Yes, they eat each other. And yes, that is just the way it was. We can change that. No. There's a cycle of life. No, it's the cycle of life in the cycle that we've got caught up into. However, we're learning all the time too. So where I'm trying to go with this, from that love state, at the moment, animals are in fear. So let's take that as humans. As humans, you know you're not going to be able to get food for a week and you've got your family to feed. Certain situations where we have to pay the bills because we need to provide for the family. See how we're mirroring it. What happens when you lose your job, you lose all your funding, you lose your partner and your family, they've left you. And then all of a sudden something comes up and you have to pay. In America, a loved one gets in an accident, all of a sudden you have to cough up money. No free healthcare and stuff. So from an animal perspective, if you haven't got no food, what do? You're in fear. You're constantly in survival mode. You become savages. We're seeing that, or we're even hearing about certain things when it gets to eating stage in the human race. If you look at all the way that crime and evil and stuff, a lot of people are born into a bad system. And if you look at it from their perspective, they were providing. They did all they can to survive. They were in it for their own. Their loved ones come first. They're the priority every time. Rightly or wrongly, in their perspective, that's all they know. Yet, as we've evolved as humans, especially over the last 100 years, we can see that we don't have to kill each other. We can see that there's loads of other ways that we can come to solutions. More so now, we're seeing world peace being created in the last number of years. You're seeing less and less wars going on around the world from what we've been told our whole lifetime. So treat it from the animal kingdom too. If life was made easy for animals, do you think that they'd need to go on hunts and kill others if it was all easy for them? Before that, if we come from just a place of love, because only fear you go into those states. And fear over a long time, over a generation, passed down through generations, that's all you know. You just repeat, in most cases, what you've been taught and what you're around environment. So higher perspective, I know we can make changes to the world. And I know that the more we get educated and the less perception of what we have as normal, and that's the way it is, the more we can start seeing how things start changing going forward quickly. And I'm going to show loads and loads of examples today of just how the one communicator above all is love. Animals don't speak our words. They remember us after a while their name. There's a personality trait to individual animals, and some are on a collective consciousness together. There's souls in all animals too. So we can start seeing now with the beauty of the internet is how animals around love, it changes everything. They're not individuals anymore. They're a collective. How does one get to a loving state more frequently? So even those words, thank you for the question, Duppy Drop. So how does one get to a loving state more frequently? There's nowhere to get. You are a loving state. It's just remembering and switching it on every day. I'd say the first thing when the lights come on is you just let that light fill up in your body and you set intentions in that light and they start manifesting. That light is the seeds. You've just woken up. A new day. You've just been born again. And in that new day is how you then show up. And you can do that as a routine, a soulful essential every day you wake up. Be grateful of the day. Actually, I've got a really nice story on that one about being grateful for the day. And it's from a book called Radical Emission. And when I was working with people with cancer, I got right into a lot of the stories, and very difficult to find like the big successes when there's millions of these stories all over. Just interesting how it's been hidden from us. And in that one, there was a Japanese guy, and he was told that he only had a few days to live. and he was in the hospital, and he had to fight to get out of the hospital to go home. He said, if I'm going to die, I don't want to die here. I'd rather just die in my home, in the comfort of my own home, around my family. And he said every day or night, he just said, I'd go sleep on the sofa. I didn't want to be in my bedroom. I wanted to be on the sofa. And he said each morning, like the sun would like start on his face. And he said, I used to just smile, like really happy and grateful for another day. And then each morning the sun was shining on him. He then started becoming more aware of what else took place in the morning. And he said, the birds, every day I heard the birds tweet. And he said it was magical, because it's like, oh, I'm here again. Remember, he's got a few days to live. And then he started getting intrigued with the birds and fascinated. And he said, I wonder what time the birds start. So he said, I'd set my alarm just a bit earlier each time and just pay attention to when the birds start tweeting. And he said he did it a few times, and then he did it once where there was no noise. And he monitored it for about 2 weeks. And again, every day is a new day. Every day he's now being grateful. Now he's got purpose. He's got a drive. And he said, I started realizing it was 42 minutes on the dot before sunrise. And that's when the birds started tweeting. And he found that really interesting. So he said he conducted his own experiment in his house, and he had budgies in his house too. And at night time, he said he'd put the cover on them. And 3 o'clock in the morning, he went into the cage and they were fast asleep, and he put oxygen in the cage and they started tweeting. So his theory was that the oxygen that's released from the trees 42 minutes before sunrise was the time that the birds would awaken, and that tweeting was actually getting in oxygen. And it's the most freshest oxygen of the day, because the trees have then awakened at that part. And from the back of being told he's going to die, he's now still alive today. And what that brings it back to is every day is a new day. So when you say, how can I being in that loving state more frequently, be appreciative? And I'm hoping after today's talk, you're going to see, when we start seeing what is there already, you're going to be a lot more appreciative of the world outside of us. But those feelings start from within us. And then all of a sudden it gives more meaning. There's so many things that are taking place for me at the moment, even watching movies. I watched Finite yesterday, and it was kind of like there was these warriors, and they always come back through past lives, and they were fighting against people that wanted to destroy the world, and they'd always come back. They'd always come into this world without the memory, and they had to remember who they are. And they worked on through all these different past lives, but there was a meaning there. There was a purpose. And when you get your memory back, you remember all the old skills and gifts that you had through the previous lives. Mark Wahlberg. And the way it was delivered, and the way that it made sense, and the way that you do remember and you do have all these gifts, they're showing us, because that is a possibility. That is a reality. What stops us is our brain. It's our limited thoughts. So when we expand our thinking and we're being shown this, that is stimulating imagination. When you take away fear on your external world, which is being removed from us all the time, then you're in that love space to create, to connect. And all of a sudden you start getting more and more in sync with the energy. And if time is an illusion, we can then go back and start seeing and learning more. So from the back of that, it's given me a massive lift, I would say, to know that there potential, well, there is not even potentially, there is more purpose here, even through the generations. So when we're like, oh, we're worried about death, and we're fearing when things are going to end, yet if you zoomed out, you knew that you always come back, and you always had a part here, and you have a role and a mission, and there is a personality or unique soul that always is there. Awareness. So animals exactly the same. They all have messages for us. They all have teachings for us if we just analyze them. I like using the analogy of the ducks. So ducks, if you just observe ducks, and this is from Eckhart Tolle in New Earth, and he said, you just watch 2 ducks come together and they start fighting, and they're yakking away at each other, and they're flapping their wings, and then they stop. They both turn around and they make their own way off. They both flap their wings, and then they get on with their day. And they say that it's that flapping the wings or letting go, it's done now. And then they become a duck again. Whereas human beings, you turn around and you take that with you. I can't believe they said that. How dare they? I'm going to get revenge. I'm going to get my own back. I'm going to ruin their life. And you continue that. You hold on to that. That's now fear that you're carrying with you. So flap your wings. Simple, simple truths. And there's loads that we can take from animals if we pay attention. And the beautiful thing is, whilst we've all been distracted, there have been people that dedicated their life to getting to know all these animals. And then we have the science to back it up. We do work on the way that their brains work, the way that they do communicate. So we have all this to come too. So take away fear. All you have is love. And you can start within the household. How many people watching have cats, dogs, and other animals, birds, that all get on? They're like brothers and sisters. They're all part of the family. How does that happen? Hi, Reese. Good to see you. How does that happen? Love is an energy. They feel safe. Who looks after all those animals? The owner or the housekeeper. Who looks after them? The human. Who puts all their trust in you to allow them to be? And they can, what do? Animals are animals. So dogs are dogs, cats are cats, elephants are elephants, tigers are tigers. They all have their role within it. It's not always the case. But we, as humans, do you think we live life as humans all the time? So when I say tigers are tigers, dogs are dogs, sometimes that's different. Rhino trying to be a goat. So let me then show you a really good Bible verse as well. And I realize I'm looking at my page, it's God this and God that and love wins. And it's like, whoa, it looks like a shift from the outside. But this is just, again, from the core. This can be spread out of everything. It doesn't have to just be God, God, God. So we've had the luxury now of being shown wildlife in places like Africa, in the middle of nowhere, which humans most of the time wouldn't even get to see. But now we have the technology to literally monitor. Now we're getting so much more understanding. Our perception of animals, and I feel like a big one on the films when we were growing up was Jaws and sharks. And it's just a scary thing for people. So even the thought, the word, the image, we have fear attached to it. Sometimes we fear animals so much, but we've never actually experienced being around the animal. It's only what we've been shown. That's our perception. So instantly going out into the universe, there's still fear of certain animals because we don't know. Me and snakes, the idea of holding a snake, the head of a snake, never been a fan of that. Insects and bugs, not the best, but I can handle all of that. And it's only because we've been shown a lot of the things. But if they know that we're in fear, and if you flip it even more, they know that they're getting hunted by these people that have got hands and they speak and stuff. And there's a fear going out there as a collective fear. But look how things are evolving, and look at hyenas as an example. I just called those like ravenous scavengers, what we've been shown, because we get there and that is the wildlife. That's it. As time goes on, look how things evolve.
Hyenas. Renowned for their brutal scavenging ways, hyenas can weigh twice as much as an adult wolf. And that's why what Kevin Richardson does is all the more surprising. Kevin has worked with large predators for most of his adult life, But a few years ago, he set up his own private reserve so that he could fully integrate himself into this clan of hyenas. He did this to study their behavior and change people's perceptions of what is a much feared animal. The hyenas live in a large enclosure, but they're far from tame. These animals have a very complex and fluid social structure, all governed by dominance and how each one finds its place in the pecking order. If Kevin isn't careful, there's always an individual that'll try and get one over on him. I wanted to ask you about, where they see you in their clan. Are you a hyena in their eyes?
Their behavior with me as treating me as an individual in their clan is exactly how they treat one another. And that's why I get my fair share of bites, because they don't hold back.
So why on earth would you want to do this when you're aware that it can be dangerous?
What I feel is the risk has actually been mitigated over the years by knowing the individuals. And by no means do I just say, hey, I'm the hyena whisperer. I can go in with any hyena group and do what I do with these guys. This is a relationship that's been developing with some individuals over 14 years. Where are you going? No, you're not going there.
Don't leave them here.
Yes.
Stay for the camera.
Yes, look.
See, now that's just ridiculous.
Look at that teddy bear.
I mean, come on. It's like if you're behaving with him, like if he's a dog,
Well, listen, once all the energy dissipates, and once they're okay with you guys, and they know they've smelt you out, and they see that you're not a threat, and they calm down. These animals are it's incredible what you can do with them. I mean, this guy.
He desperately wants his chin scratched.
Well,
I can see that. Kevin has worked very hard to earn the hyena's trust, and it allows him to play with them in a way I never thought was possible. But even this time spent playing together gives him a chance to learn about their social structure and how he can maintain his position within it.
Yeah, so, I mean, all this kind of thing that I'm doing here is asserting my dominance. So it does look like play, but he's also feeling that I'm not, submitting to something he does, and that I'm actually playing with him in a dominant way. So I'm doing things to him that he wouldn't normally allow other individuals to do to him, that he was more dominant, who he was more dominant of. So it is interesting. I'm using affection, because he's coming to me for love and a tickle and a chin scratch and all of the above. But I'm dominating him, and I'm not hitting him. I don't have to. It's a bit of a psychological game.
What do you get out of it then, do you think? Why were you driven to do this with these hyenas?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, this is enriching for me as it is for them. I mean, the fact that I'm tickling this hyena on his chin and I'm using him as a resting place.
Bonkers, Kevin.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still get a kick out of seeing my buddies. However, the other thing that I really hope it does is it shows people a different side of them. And hopefully people watching a program like this would go away and say, you know what? I never knew hyenas were like that. I actually like them. They're actually very similar to my dog in a way.
Kevin has an extraordinary relationship with these hyenas. By combining his knowledge of each individual and their position in the hierarchy, and with his ability to assert his dominance where needed, it seems that Kevin has truly become one of the gang. And in doing so, he's proving that hyenas are not as intimidating as many people would have you believe.
So you can see, like, even with some of the most predator of animals, when you go in there, what is it from the language of the soul? Love or fear? So for animals, when he said they sniff you out, if you're showing any fear, then you're not part of the truth. So they go into protection mode. It's simple when you look at it like that. So we're now seeing that with all animals. And I've got a whole collection of animals that you don't associate with humans, where they've got a great relationship with humans. So if we look at evolution of our relationships and our understanding, it is evolving when you're seeing things like that. If you then take out all the chaos of this world, if you take out all the lies, you take out all the fear, and there's loads of it still at every part. We're complaining about parking tickets and bailiffs. which is all unlawful. I'm going to do a breakdown on that tomorrow. I've got some really cool stuff on that as well. And showing again, you can go into a fear state and you lose because you're not in the truth. People know that. Animals know that. It's one common denominator. It's love, which is God, which is God's creation. So if we go to the biblical text, just to back it up, look what he says. And the fear of you, the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. So if you turn up with fear, that dread is then passed to every animal, every beast of the earth. They feel the fear. And we can fake that they still feel the fear. Fear, remember, can be just stress, anxiety, worry, blame, guilt, attachment. And then this is where the words come in so important too, because it says meat in the Bible. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, to meet you. They're all there to meet you when you turn up with love. Meet. There's a reason why they changed that word. What is meet and greet? You don't just eat them and greet them. Even as the green herb, I have given you all things. So there's misinterpretations based on the words and the abbreviations. And God created whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly, after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind, and God saw it was good. After their kind, after his kind, kindness, mankind. It's all kindness, it's all within the kingdom. So the more we start, first of all, learning that it can be done, we now believe it. We now see it again and again. Now we start feeling it's real. And then we have these moments where we've got to come. We get to experience it. That becomes a knowing then. And once you've had those knowings, you're fighting against the truth if you turn back from it. And I showed the food one first of all as well, because again, coming from a preachy thing that I don't like, veganism. However, and it was from Justin Carpenter, one of his talks, it really kicked me up the gear, because I remember when I was being spoken to and I was listening, my ego's going off. It's like, you still do that? And then it's like, oh, do you eat meat? If someone asked me, and I'd be like, well, no, and I'd have a reason to get out of it. But my deeper knowing is I wouldn't look at those animals. It's convenience. It's all I know. It's cheaper. All these different things that people would say, all the labels attached to it. I haven't now had meat or fish for about 2 months, or about 4 months now, no meat. And before that, this whole year, I haven't had chicken. All because of this in terms of energy. And I'm not saying you have to do that. But all I'm going to ask you is just to come now forward, because that's hard where we are. Remember, change is needed. We have food replicators coming out very soon. It's all there to go. We've seen it on the movies. That is how they're going to first replace meat. It will be the same vibration, the same frequency. It will look the same. It will taste mostly even better. And it's not genetically modified in the sense that it's all crap in there. It's not natural. The vibrations will be exactly the same as the food. Going into homeopathy, there's something called bioresonance. I encourage people, go and get a reading done. It's like a vibrational psychic reading, everything about you, based on the vibrations in your body, love or fear, at every part of your body. And within that, it can even give you affirmations to how you're feeling at this moment in time, which I've shared stories with before. It's so good to get information like that. Do you have to take it as a full truth? No, not at all. But just get the awareness of how that actually works. That's done within our body. We're now being able to monitor vibrations all over. It's light. How do we break down our food and calculate energy? We explode the food. It goes into particles, light particles, energy, calories, killer calories. It's a measurement. But for every tomato that I get out of the fridge, And if I blew them all up individually, every single one would have different energy in. Some would be a fresh or straight off the vine, and some would be in the fridge for 2 weeks. What one has more energy in? The fresher one, straight from source. Ones that have been shipped across the world and it's got all the sprays on it stuff, it looks the same, but the energy is different. But the way that they calculate through numbers is on averages. So we just associate all tomatoes as tomatoes, all apples. But again, we're not looking at the individual. It's the same thing when it comes to this. So the replicators, just know if you're finding it hard to even get that idea of, oh, I couldn't do that, that's how it's all going to start changing, because there is no need to kill en masse like we do, and we don't know how it's done. Because if we went back to those images to start with, the burger would be called cow. You got cow today, you got horse, you haven't got horse, but we've had that in a lot of the food samples that have come back from government and stuff. You got sheep today, you got lamb today. You would have the words, and do you think kids would be eating that if they knew from a young age? So knowing that there's replacements already coming, then all of a sudden you can start putting that into your reality. Guaranteed choices will start changing. Ego will kick off to start with. You'll find other different reasons. Oh, I've got the family, too much hard work. Yet there are solutions coming, and you will not know the difference because it's energy, it's vibration, it's light when you break it right down. So the reason why I'm saying that is take away then, from an animal's perspective, that fear of knowing that you're going to be killed. You see animals, I'm not showing any horrible ones today, but the cows, they know when they're going to go for slaughter. There's like this sense it's happening. They try to do all they can to escape. That's an energy still out to the universe. Be cautious of humans. How do we know that they don't communicate anyway for energy when humans can pick up on energy? So take that away, that they don't have to worry about being killed. They still got their own rights. They can do whatever they want. But what also is going to happen, we have the machinery. We now have the locations of a lot of animals. We've got the experts that have been dedicating their life to it. We'll have solutions where we'll be able to provide for all of them. Or when they don't have to go hunting, where they know that they've got a safe space to come. And then try to zoom out even more. No, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work. Why not? We've even got drones that can go in to start with now. You even see in the documentaries where they make the animals look like them, like the robots, and they have the cameras there. Why not? And then we start going into the relationships that are then built with animals through love. So I wanted to show you a few with different animals on here. Most animals would get bored and fat in their food source was too readily available. That's true. However, we still monitor, like the AI now knows human behavior. It knows how to speak. It can put into its own script. It can replace someone. You can do all that monitoring with animals. So you know that when they don't get bored. And if animals, you say that get bored, but we haven't given them adventures yet either. We haven't given them new experiences yet. Like new playgrounds, new homes, new sanctuaries. It's like giving them a 5-star experience, which we've still yet to have. And then you've got all the holiday destinations where we're going to be able to go to in your own time, when you want to go, with who you want to go. I've always felt a connection, softness for animals. So happy to hear this. It is cool when you just pay attention. And I like watching the relationship between owners and animals, because it's just like parents and kids. And sometimes you judge. Sometimes you look over and like, that's not how you hold a leash. That's why they're barking all the time. I remember being in Chicago. I used to call them liberal dogs. There was just opinion and angry and everything, individuals. It mirrored the owner. So again, fear. You can see when animals are in love, and the way that the calmness, the peace, the awareness, the curiosity, the play, those are key things. So let me just show you a few where animals connect together through love. And there's loads of different ones.
adopted 4 orphan squirrels. They're not quite the bundles of joy Pusha the cat expected to have, but she loves these babies anyway. She had just given birth to 4 of her own kittens at the park where she lives when her human friends brought her 4 tiny baby squirrels. The tiny babies had lost their own mother, but needed someone to care for them. At first, the baby squirrels were afraid of their new mom, but with a little help from the humans, they became one big family. Pusha nurses the babies alongside her own kittens, and her humans supplement with bottles of milk. The little squirrels cuddle up to their new mom to fall asleep, and she gives them a bath, just like she would do for a kitten. Of course, there's also time to play, and the little babies love to crawl on their mom. It's a sweet and surprising sight, considering cats would usually be predators to squirrels in the wild. But Pusha seems to love all her kids equally, and the unconventional family is a reminder that a mother's love knows no bounds, even across species. This amazing...
Well, that was cool.
This man was diving. A seal suddenly grabbed him. Then the seal started circling around him. Unsure of what to do, the man dared not move, so he let the seal do what it wanted. Then the seal started pulling on his hat. The man thought the seal was playing with him, so he responded warmly, but the seal suddenly bit his hat. It's trying to pull him up by swinging its body. It seems the seal mistook the man for a drowning man. It's trying to carry him upstream in this way. But the man didn't understand what he was trying to do. The seal leaves the area. Soon after, the seal returns to the area. It turned out that the seal knew that it couldn't save the man by itself. He had to go back and get his buddies. At this moment, the man still didn't understand what the seal meant. He simply thought that the 2 seals had come to play with him. Seeing that they couldn't save the man, they left the area. A short while later, a large group of seals appeared beside the man. It turned out that the 2 seals had called the whole family over in order to let the man understand what they mean. The seals mimicked the action of rescuing the man. The man finally understood what the seals meant. Then he began to cooperate with the seals. He put his hands on the seals. He came to the surface. Seeing that the man is safe, the seal was happy to leave. Afterwards, the man was very touched, but he was also upset that he hadn't realized what the seal meant earlier. From then on, every time the man dives, he's always accompanied by a baby seal.
It's crazy. Like there's loads and loads and loads of stuff like this. So foxes have such a bad reputation because they dig holes, they get in the house, they eat all the chickens. Again, if they're always scavenging, look. I wasn't even sharing the screens, was I? Sorry, can't see it. I've done that again. Right, let's go back. Well, at least you let me know this time. I've done that before where I was on mute for about 25 minutes and no one said anything. Right. I'll edit that bit out. Let's go to the seal one because that was quite cool. You didn't see the squirrels either. I'll just quickly show you.
Mama cat adopted 4 orphan squirrels. They're not quite the bundles of joy Pusha the cat expected to have, but she loves.
And then I skip to the seal.
This man was diving. A seal suddenly grabbed him. Then the seal started circling around him. Unsure of what to do, the man dared not move, so he let the seal do what it wanted. Then the seal started pulling on his hat. The man thought the seal was playing with him, so he responded warmly, but the seal suddenly bit his hat. It's trying to pull him up by swinging its body. It seems the seal mistook the man for a drowning man. It's trying to carry him upstream in this way. But the man didn't understand what he was trying to do. The seal leaves the area. Soon after, the seal returns to the area. It turned out that the seal knew that it couldn't save the man by itself. He had to go back and get his buddies. At this moment, the man still didn't understand what the seal meant. He simply thought that the 2 seals had come to play with him. Seeing that they couldn't save the man, they left the area. A short while later, a large group of seals appeared beside the man. It turned out that the 2 seals had called the whole family over in order to let the man understand what they mean. The seals mimicked the action of rescuing the man. The man finally understood what the seals meant. Then he began to cooperate with the seals. He put his hands on the seals. He came to the surface. Seeing that the man is safe, the seal was happy to leave. Afterwards, the man...
So that was cool. Foxes. Let me just come back. See your face. And that was a picture. Oh dear. I need like an alert button because it happens all the time. There's videos where they all line up and she's just throwing food and they all grab it and then they go away again. What else we got on here? I think there's a cheetah and a tortoise. Both rescued.
The first time Buttons brought her babies to meet our dog was an excitement for all of us. Jibro is so gentle with her babies. He just literally acts like another mom. And she just was like, my buddy's helping me. He just loves on them.
But you can start seeing, look, they even play. And we're told that they're not safe for the home. It's because we've never been educated. We're not safe for them to be in our home because of our energy. So again, we can't rely on other people when the whole world has evil and darkness and fear all lurking around. But as this starts transitioning, which it is all the time, and you're going to see more and more cleaning up all the time, then we get the possibility of this. And it's a lot of things. I'm going to show one more.
A little koala is hiding under a tree and crying. It's screaming as if it's asking for help. Seeing that someone has been filming him, he walks towards the man, regardless of his own safety. The little creature staggered to the man's body and then stretched out its arms and hugged the man's thighs. Then it looks at the man with a pleading face, but the man didn't know what it meant. He thought the little koala was looking for him to play with him, so he reached out and stroked the koala. Seeing that the man did not understand what he meant, the koala walked away in disappointment. Then the man's girlfriend brought him a basin of water, but the little koala only looked at it and then walked away again. Undeterred, the little koala came to the man again, holding the man's hand with its own little paw. At this point, the man also understood. It approached him to seek help. Knowing the situation, the man stood up and followed the little koala behind him. The little koala turned around and saw the man following him. It seems that the man understands what he means. The little koala then walked in front and began to lead the way for the man. After following the little one for 10 minutes, in a football goal, they found a trapped koala mother. It turns out that the little koala was looking for the man to save her mother. The man's girlfriend hurriedly got some scissors and started to free the mother koala. The mother koala seemed to know that the lady in front of her was trying to save her. She lowered her head very cooperatively to make it easier for the lady to cut. Miraculously, she even raised her hand and grabbed her arm. It seems to be expressing its gratitude to the lady who saved her. Seeing how grateful it was, she stroked it with her hand. Her movements are even more gentle. Worried about hurting the mother koala, Miss is very careful with each cut. After 10 minutes of rescue, the mother koala finally got out of the net and quickly ran to the side to look for her child. Worried that the koala mothering child will be in danger on the
So animals are now asking humans for help. And I've got a whole collection of here, which I'll share next. Did you see the video when a small child falls into the gorilla pen? The gorilla, yeah, all these things, and we can say they're one-off and you can blame the parents for it, but there's a mother instinct about it. I get excited about it because we're only just getting to grasp to know that this actually does take place, and not only just on the odd instance, it's all over. And the key thing is love. Love in that space is then safety. In safety then gets creation and play and joy. They've already got the barriers around them. They feel safe. They have trust. And this is where, again, we don't need words to communicate any of that. It's all there for us. It's all God's creation. So let me just show you. There's one on here where the deer asks for help and even bows down after, which is amazing. I'll let this play for a bit more. I'm hoping you can start seeing like what the world will start looking like. So let's take Africa as a continent. And you've got places like Uganda, Kenya, Zimbabwe, where it is like wildlife reserves, and it's huge. And you see some of these programs where it just goes on for days and miles in the middle of nowhere. Imagine the humans then going there, because one, that whole continent is going to need a lot of assistance this time, and awareness and care, and people are going to want to help. But if we know also that we can get involved with projects where you are helping the creation, the kingdom, animals start them mixing with humans and other animals, and then they keep themselves to themselves, and then they can come back again. I can see all that taking place. I've had a vision before where I was someone's wolf, and in that same image of wherever I was like the loyal dog, and there was an eagle that was always flying high above us all the time as well. It's like that loyalty. And then you start seeing Mongolian tribes as an example, where all the animals integrate with them. They're all part of the community. For me, it's magic. But imagine having a pet wolf, like in Game of Thrones, and the wolf does everything for you with love. A pet wolf around an owner in fear is dangerous. Hence why they call them wild animals. Because when they do see red mist, by being taught it, that gets carnage. So it's like the same now with guns and technology in the wrong hands, with the wrong education. All of a sudden, there's destruction. So you get the foundations right, first of all, you put the systems in place, you then educate people, and then you start integrating everything into society. It'd be a new world. So some of these are magical.
Seeing a helpless animal in distress is a mouth. He used all his strength to just listen to this poor thing's cry for help. The little bear cub fell into a pitch black basement in the middle of the night. Good thing it quickly figured out how to use the ladder and climbed out.
There you go. There you go.
When a dog suddenly fell through the ice, it desperately fought to stay above the surface. Tired and probably on the verge of hypothermia, no one dared to jump into the frozen lake until this hero showed up. Even though he couldn't feel his legs anymore, he kept on going to save its life. And as he finally reaches land, another act of kindness is displayed as all the bystanders take good care of the hero. German Shepherd Cisco was soaked in gasoline and horribly abused by his former owner. But before it was too late, these kind people found him and turned his life around. Now he can finally feel happy and loved for the first time in his life. This little civet's paw was bound by chains, yet it was deeply afraid of humans. However, in the end, it seemed to understand the intentions of its rescuer, Sky. The creature's fear and confusion gave way to a sense of trust. After being released, you would think the cat's first thought would be to run away into the forest, but the animal was so confused by the human's act of kindness that it didn't know what to do. Eventually, the bobcat said thank you to its savior in its own way and headed back home where it belongs. I don't know how this baby deer ended up in the middle of a...
Let me try to find the ones.
Coming to ask for a little...
Let me show you the ones where they ask for help even more.
treat. Betty is one of 6 rescued alligators who enjoy a pristine cypress swamp with no public access, and the other gators are also just as friendly as her. This elephant unfortunately lost a limb and therefore couldn't live before warming it up and gratefully back food, but was unable to open the tank to risk. Then when they starts off it.
So it's not the one that I wanted.
It was all removed.
2-6. Hopefully that was. Oh, that wasn't even playing either. What is going on tonight? Apologize for that. Please share screen. All right. You just watch my face going like this with animals. Oh man. Oh dear. I might have to just edit this so you don't get any of this part. So let me just go back to that one.
and finally feel happy and loved for the first time in his life. This little civet's paw was bound by chains, yet it was deeply afraid of humans. However, in the end, it seemed to understand the intentions of its rescuer, Sky. The creature's fear and confusion gave way to a sense of trust. After being released, you would think the cat's first thought would be to run away into the forest, but the animal was so confused by the human's act of kindness that it didn't know what to do. Eventually, the bobcat said thank you to its savior in its own way and headed back home where it belongs. I don't know how this baby deer ended up in.
Let me show you the deer one. Deer asking for help. But these are just examples where animals, in the end, they have to ask. Yeah, it's this one. This is amazing.
Gosh, we gotta get it out because this mama looks like. Gotta help. No, he's stuck. Let's see what we can do. Okay. Oh. The knife? Okay. Okay. Yeah, oh, we're okay. It's okay. It's okay. She's going. Okay. She's coming. Oh, it's okay. Here, no. Stay back. Stay back. Oh, it's okay. All the way. No. Really back up. That deer's coming back. There you go. I'm glad you came home. I was like,
I showed you the wrong one. It's this one. This is mental.
When you're launching a new product with a tight deadline,
2 weeks?
Grammarly's tone suggests.
Let's watch as this mother deer inexplicably stops traffic, getting the attention of a driver as she stomps out into the middle of the road. And what she does next is absolutely amazing. She will not move out in front of the driver's car. And when she does, she stays in the road asking the driver to follow her. So the driver does follow, only to find her baby is stuck in a soccer net. The more the baby twists, the tighter the net becomes. As the driver approaches the baby deer, the mother deer gets more and more nervous. As the driver attempts to get the baby out, you can hear him yelping and crying for his mother, and the mother becomes very panicked.
I just showed you the same one again. Oh no.
Finally, the man is able to free the baby deer, and the baby deer can take off and go into the woods.
Okay, it was the same
But
one.
that's
Watch
not where
this.
the story ends, because moments later, the same deer and the same fawn come out to the road again, stopping the same vehicle, only for the baby fawn to thank the gentleman who saved him.
It's amazing. So it just shows you, like, they know because it's inherent, but they also know how protection works, and they know that they protect their space. And if it's not love, then all of a sudden they're not going to go there. They can't have the trust until there's no other help that you have to go to humans, which is the same for us. Until we get to rock bottom, we never ask, we never connect. When it comes to children, then the world get involved. They start paying attention. But it takes us all that. When we get ill, when we get these labels, and now we need to act, now we need to change. But we always wait to the last bit because we don't know any difference. So when you start seeing things like that, plus seeing what is going on in the world, plus seeing what's being hidden from all of us for a reason, the whole world changes. And take away darkness and evil, there's a polarity, right? There's more love, more space. And you can imagine all the little stresses in our life, all the little tiny stresses are still sending off a little stress out. And this is the beautiful thing when you start seeing animals and kids. They just both know, they just love. And animals like the mother animals, they then get into mother mode, even around the kids. The dogs become really protective. Like, it's very, very magical to see. And they're all household animals that we label pets, yet they all have their teachings for us too. Like, I look at the animal, the dog. The reverse of that is God. It shows you what God is. It's a mirror of us, God. It's a mirror, dog, God. How you behave, the dog behaves. How you turn up, the dog turns up. Then you got cats. Cats I like to look at as an act, the opposite of God, an acting cat. And they are conniving. They have many personalities. They know how to manipulate. They know how to get their way. Yet when they're in that true, pure love environment, they turn into the king of the jungle, the lion, the lioness. They become part of the family too. So all of these teachings, they've all got lessons for us. And you can start seeing that some animals, obviously, they cost a lot more to house. Some animals, we don't know if they could be trusted around other people or other children because of the environment. But that all will start changing. And again, if we go beyond just this generation and keep going forward and keep working out, look, it's improving. Look where it will start getting to is that everyone gets born into this world is born into a world of love, or a world where there is a unity and there is a connection and there is some sort of plan going ahead, which is only going to make everything about this kingdom even better. That's what excites me a lot. And so we can learn from our animals, and the animals are then a mirror of what we put out. And then you start putting us rather than the individual, and then all of a sudden we become very powerful. And I know a lot of people, they're animal lovers, they're pet lovers, they'd do anything to get involved to help. Imagine if that was part of your journey, where you get to go and do that with no stresses, just there to help, learn, to contribute. It's magical. So I wanted to share that because I feel that there, again, bring it back to love or fear. 2 words, the language of the soul, love or fear. There's a truth right there before we even get into words, before we get into scriptures. Animals know before all of that. And then you start seeing, like, how do we start from those foundations every day? Well, we start when we wake up in the morning or awaken in the morning. Appreciation, gratitude, intentions, a smile. That then vibrates throughout your whole body. That magnet energy will come back to you. And you keep doing that, that light gets bigger and bigger. The amber in the flame when you first start turns into a fire. And then you do it collectively, that our lights are all touching. You can see it's so, so powerful. So we've got a lot of changes coming. And this, you could say, is so far ahead. It's unrealistic, they say, only unrealistic based on our past. If you really are aware of what is taking place and aware of the changes that we're all making, there's a lot more of us that do want the world to go into a better place. Why wouldn't you? It makes everyone's life a lot more enjoyable and a lot more exciting. So then you can start seeing, like, where else can we then take it? So I'm telling you, if we're thinking about it, it's already had that thought from someone else. It's mostly been started on projects from other people. So it just gives us a bit more taste of this goes beyond us. This is a lot bigger than us. And when you again start looking through the creation of God and through God's eyes, we're all part of his body. We're all part of his network. And yeah, it changes everything. So it's just allowing us to get out of our mind a bit more and then to start using our mind to create. Because again, you manifest what you put out there. If you've got to manifest with now actual visual proof and you're seeing it happening, then you get the experience, that becomes part of the truth. So everything that we know has been a lie, but it's not a lie in the sense, it's just everything we know is that's what just was. That was the moment in time. That was in our evolution cycles. And then we've got a lot to come from. So the word, the Big Bang, that was another one. The Big Bang and God. And I was trying to work out, and let there be light. And again, the Big Bang theory, I always said nothing from an explosion can then have all that creation. If you bring it just to your heart center and you just take away time, you have a bang, explosion of energy, light, and then you have absence, space. So every moment there's a Big Bang. Every moment there's creation. And then from the back of that, you've got everything else. It all starts from our heart. So I've got a really cool, powerful meditation, which will be on the heart center, lying down. It's amazing, amazing. And for you watching tonight live, I'm also doing a live meditation in about 45 minutes, actually, on the Telegram page, which I will repost on here after. And I had a really, really intense, I'd call it a reincarnation, but just a deeper understanding of what we are capable of. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what I experience and try to put that into words. Yet you're going to be part of the experience because it all comes from within you. And it's called reincarnation to peace. And I went to this blissful state. It was a definition of peace, which I never really associated before. And it turned into a masterpiece. So we'll be doing that after this, live on Telegram. Harry the Soul Coach Meditations. Look out for the recording. I'll post that later on after this video as well. And again, just a big shout out to everyone in the chat tonight. It's good to see familiar faces. And yeah, start thinking about the new world. And for every bit that, no, that couldn't be, have a look at the technology that's being created already. Remove evil, remove debts, remove all the legal system. You've got a whole new world ahead of you. And then just a reminder, I'm going to be doing one tomorrow on dealing with the bailiffs, using love, using words, standing on the truth. And I'm going to show you, there's loads of different examples in America where they're clever and they intimidate. Body-wise, if we go body to body, they'd win all the time. So then it's mind-body, the human experience, and you see ego kicks off on the other person. So they're in control of body and mind. They're going to dominate. But the soul always wins, always, regardless of who they are, what they got to say. When you know your truth and you stand on it, and you can deliver that from a place of calmness, you win every time. So I'm going to go through a few different things. So that'll be a good one for people to just see what small changes we can do to diffuse any situation. Glad to see you as well, Reese. Yeah, good. It'll be good to have you on, Cherry. Thank you, Amanda. Good to see you, Jen, and you, Nikki. And I will see you very, very soon. So if you're watching, please subscribe. And if you've got any comments, please do let us know what come up for you. Take care, everyone.